The first thing that unsettled Elena Hartwell was not the exhaustion on the janitor's face, nor the quiet way he moved through the marble halls of her company long after everyone else had gone home. It was the lunchbox. A faded blue lunchbox with cartoon planets on it, tucked carefully under one arm as if it held something fragile. Elena, the CEO of a multi-million-dollar tech firm, watched from her glass office one late afternoon as the man wiped fingerprints off doors that executives barely noticed. Something about the way he worked, steady and invisible, stirred a discomfort she could not explain. And when he finally clocked out, instead of heading to a car, he walked alone into the bright fading daylight. Without knowing why, Elena grabbed her coat and followed him. Before the story goes any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of humanity, please take a moment to like this video, share it, comment, and subscribe to One Heart Stories. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts that need them. Elena had built her life on discipline and distance. She grew up believing success meant never slowing down, never looking back. Her days were filled with meetings, numbers, polished smiles, and the constant pressure to outperform competitors who waited eagerly for her to slip. People admired her strength, but very few knew how lonely her success felt. The janitor, whose name she only knew from a payroll list as Marcus Bell, was someone she had passed hundreds of times without a second glance. Yet that afternoon, curiosity pushed her beyond comfort. She kept a careful distance as Marcus walked through sunlit streets, past busy shops and quiet bus stops, until the city slowly thinned and concrete gave way to worn sidewalks and older buildings. Marcus moved with purpose, but not ease. His shoulders carried more than the weight of a long shift. Elena noticed how he paused to adjust the lunchbox, how he stopped once to buy a single apple from a street vendor, counting coins carefully before handing them over. When he finally reached his destination, Elena's steps slowed. It was a small daycare center attached to a community shelter, paint peeling under the bright afternoon sun. Children's drawings were taped to the windows. Marcus entered, and moments later, a small boy ran into his arms. The child's laughter spilled into the street, bright and alive, and Marcus's tired posture softened instantly. Elena felt something crack open in her chest. She watched from across the road as Marcus knelt, brushing dust from the boy's shoes, then pulled out the lunchbox. Inside were 2 sandwiches, cut unevenly, and the apple he had just bought, sliced in half. The boy ate happily while Marcus pretended not to be hungry, sipping water and smiling as if this small moment was everything. Elena, who could buy entire restaurants without checking prices, suddenly felt ashamed of the expensive lunches she left untouched in meetings. She learned later that Marcus was a single father. His wife had died 3 years earlier after a sudden illness, leaving him with their son, Caleb, and a mountain of hospital bills. He worked 2 jobs when he could, slept little, and never complained. Pride and love kept him moving forward. Over the next few days, Elena found herself watching Marcus more closely at work. She noticed how he fixed broken chair legs without being asked, how he stayed late to clean spills left by careless employees, how he hummed softly as he worked, as if trying to keep his own spirits alive. One afternoon, she overheard a manager scolding him for missing a spot on a window, threatening to cut his hours. Marcus apologized, head bowed, even though Elena knew he had been covering another worker's shift. That night, Elena couldn't sleep. The image of Caleb sharing an apple in the sunlight replayed in her mind, mixing with memories of her own childhood, when her mother worked double shifts and came home exhausted but smiling. The next day, Elena did something she had never done before. She reviewed the janitorial contracts personally. What she found made her stomach turn. Outsourced wages barely above minimum, no benefits, no flexibility for parents. These people kept her company running, yet lived one emergency away from collapse. For the first time in years, Elena felt her success meant nothing if it rested on quiet suffering. She requested Marcus's file and learned that he had once studied mechanical engineering but dropped out to care for his sick wife. His potential, like his grief, had been buried under survival. Change did not come overnight. Elena faced resistance from her board when she proposed restructuring the cleaning staff into full employees with benefits, higher pay, and flexible hours. They warned her about costs, about setting precedents. But Elena stood firm, driven by something deeper than profit. She thought of Marcus walking in the daylight, lunchbox in hand, carrying the weight of the world without complaint. She approved a pilot program anyway. Marcus was the first to be offered a new role, one that matched his skills and allowed him to work daytime hours only. When Marcus received the offer, he cried in the hallway, sunlight pouring through the windows as if the building itself approved. For the first time since his wife's death, he felt seen. Caleb no longer waited in shelters after school. He joined a proper daycare, then a school where he thrived. Marcus started studying again at night, slowly reclaiming the future he once lost. And Elena, watching these changes unfold, realized that following one man home had changed her more than any business deal ever had. Just before we reach the end, please comment below and tell us where you're watching from and what kindness means to you. Your words truly matter. In the end, Elena didn't just change company policy. She changed the culture. Other firms followed. Lives shifted. And every afternoon, as sunlight filled the halls, Elena would sometimes see Marcus walking confidently through the building, lunchbox replaced by a briefcase, hope visible in every step. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that humanity still matters in a busy world, please like, share, and engage with this video. Your support keeps these stories alive, one heart at a time.